today we want to go ahead and publish another case study for you guys. So today I have Grant Anderson on the call with us, and what I'm going to do is let Grant introduce himself. Go ahead and take it away, Grant.
Okay. Well, I'm Grant Anderson. I own the Good Life Properties. I have a couple of other subsidiary companies as well. I started investing in 2005, bought a couple of rental properties, just kept investing. In 2011, I started flipping some properties. I was at that time living out in Sacramento, California, and I became a full-time real estate investor. I started partnering with some other people, other investors who didn't even have they didn't have the time or the experience to find properties. In 2007, we made the decision to start selling off our properties out in California, and we're doing 1031 exchanges, buying properties out in Indianapolis. I moved out to Indianapolis. We sold our house, came out here, moved into one of our rental properties, and are continuing to do the BRRRR strategy. We have a couple of flips that we do in Indianapolis. We're still working through quite a few of a couple more properties out in California.
What brought you to Indianapolis?
Just Indianapolis seemed like a good market. It had job growth. It had people coming from college-age students that were staying here. There was a lot of growth in the area. The other biggest thing was, coming from California, they have tenant rights, where here it's a little bit more landlord friendly. I didn't want to go to a state that was more tenant friendly, because obviously if they aren't paying rent, I still have to pay the bills. So I'd rather be in an area that is a little fairer to both sides.
Yeah, I think you're completely accurate in what you said about the college age. The kids graduating college. I'm one of those transplants to Indy. I grew up in Mishawaka and South Bend area, which is northern Indiana, and I moved here right after college. So it sounds like your primary focus is on BRRRR strategy and a little bit of flips.
Pretty much. I mean, we do flips to kind of get some money now, and then our long-term goal is just to build up cash flow. Okay. So how did you discover my service, Invest with Ben, and my team, and how did you, what was the reason you reached out to me and contacted us? Well, I heard you speak through Joe Fairless's Best Real Estate Advice Ever show. I think that was about 2 years ago. That was obviously before we moved out here. And I thought you had some good information about the city. I was wanting to meet more people that were out here. I made a trip out here to check out the market. And at that time, I scheduled a meeting with you. So that was the first time we had any interaction in meeting each other. And then I've just been on your mailing list ever since then.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is, I do remember that Joe Fairless podcast. That seems like forever ago. So I guess I should do more of those podcasts. I know I should do. I'm just pretty busy. Should do more of those. I'm just pretty busy. But that's just evidence that that's a good way to get your name out there and tell people about your service. So I don't know Joe personally, but I hear his name quite a bit. So I'll link to that podcast, guys, when we post this case study on our website. Joe interviews a lot of experienced real estate investors, so I'll link to that so you guys can check out that podcast. What I want to do now is just, the main reason we're doing this is just do a case study of people who have bought properties from us. So what was the address of the property you purchased from us?
It was 2005 Angel Tier Court in Indianapolis.
Okay. And what can you tell me what 2005 Angel Tier Court, what was the purchase price of that property? Do you remember?
You were asking 94.5.
Okay.
But we ended up we negotiated it down. We got it down to 90,000. I believe
Okay.
you had it on the market a couple of weeks, or it didn't seem like either you didn't have any offers or.
Okay.
So we ended up picking it up for 90,000.
Okay. And what was your strategy going to be with it? Were you flipping this one or holding this?
This one we were doing the BRRRR strategy. We had just sold a property out in California, so we needed to turn over that 1031 exchange money. And so once we sold it, right after we sold it, I contacted you, made sure that it was still available, went out and looked at it.
Okay. So BRRRR, for those of you that don't know, means buy it and you rehab it, then you get it rented, and then you refinance it with a bank to get a big chunk of your cash back out. So how did that? So you bought it for 90,000. Let's go over the rehab. How much did you invest in repairs?
Yeah, we spent about $15,000. It had some dogs living in it. I don't know if you go by all of the properties, but this one had dogs. Must have had dogs living in it, cat urine or something all over the carpets. We had to rip all of that out. We put down. We had to paint and put down kills to get rid of the smell. Replaced all the flooring. Had to do some of the baseboards. Didn't really do much in the kitchen. Replaced all of the fixtures, and then we rented it out. I know you had estimated that the repairs to be like $10,000 to $12,000. We ended up with about 15,000. So not too far off, I didn't believe.
We did 10 to 12. We try to be as accurate as possible, so I would say we did pretty good there. What was do you remember what our ARV estimate was?
Yeah, the ARV was, you had estimated it to be right around 110 to 115,000.
Okay. What do you think the appraisal will come in at if you had to estimate?
It should be about 125, 130,000.
Okay. So it sounds like we were conservative enough there on our pricing. Yeah. What kind of loan will your lender do for you? Is it how much cash or loan to value will you be able to do on this one?
We should be able to get 75%.
Okay, 75%.
So should get pretty much almost all of our money back at that amount.
Wow. So that's a pretty good cash on cash return, right?
Yeah.
What do you think it'll rent for, before I forget?
Well, we've already got it rented out because it currently is rented. We have it rented out at $1,250, and you had estimated the rents to be about $1,200. So we got a little bit higher rents on that. It's going to be, once we get it refinanced, we ended up buying it with we have a hard money loan on it, so our payments are higher right now. But once we get the refinance, it'll be a lot better, and so it'll be a good deal. I mean, definitely.
What separates us from some of the other wholesalers that you get contacted by with properties to purchase?
Well, sometimes I get contacted and I see the same property from two different wholesalers. So they're trying to do the daisy chain, and it's got another $5,000 to $10,000 on it. And usually when that happens, I typically don't necessarily respond to that same person again, because I'm assuming that every single property they send me has another $5,000 to $10,000 on it, when I can go straight to the source. Whenever I've seen your properties, I don't see that another person or another person offering at a lower price. So whenever I deal with somebody, I like to know that, hey, they're the ones that have it under contract. They're the ones that are the ones on the hook for it. As far as the pricing goes, it seems like they're all about the same, unless it's somebody that is clearly daisy chaining it and getting, they're not the wholesaler that has it under contract. They know of the person and they're adding their $5,000, or they're adding something on their side.
I would advise everybody out there, if you're watching, if you're new to this, I would highly advise against daisy chaining other people's deals. Like I said, it's hard enough when you're to find a good deal when you're going directly to the source. I would, you're just gonna wear out your buyer's list, and they're not gonna take you seriously. Would you agree with that, Grant?
Oh, definitely. I know some people, I stay on their list because I don't want to tell them, hey, take me off your list. But I stay on their list and I just delete every single time I see their emails, because I know that for the most part, they've always been daisy chaining. Now, the bad thing is that they could have a really good property that they found themselves, but they started off bad, and now I have a bad taste. So I might not really look that closely at any of their deals.
When we buy properties, we've either already closed on it, or we do have a contract with the recorded notice of interest at the county courthouse with a schedule to close or getting ready to close on it. So what daisy chainers do, let's say, I have a property I've closed on already, or I have a property that I'm getting ready to close on. I have it under contract and I'm selling it for $50 wholesale. And then Grant takes it and Grant sends it out to his list for $57. So he's somebody can buy it from me for $50. And let's just say, for example, Grant was a daisy chainer. Grant's trying to sell it for $57. Grant doesn't do this. Grant doesn't, but we're just going over the example. And then somebody is on Grant's list and they take it and they daisy chain it from Grant and they're trying to sell it for $65. So, somebody could go directly to the source who has it under contract or who has already closed on it and buy it for $50. So that's what daisy chaining is. How would you describe the process from start to finish, from the time from the time you got the property under contract with us to closing? How did everything go?
Yeah, it was pretty smooth. Once I decided we wanted to look into that property a little bit more after I'd contacted you and you said yes, it was still available. You gave me the garage code, so I walked in, was able to look around. I could have my contractor come. I could do basically whatever I wanted to and schedule it on my time. So that made it a lot, pretty easy for me to get access to the property. After I visited, I made an offer. You had accepted it. I think at that time we'd gotten under contract, and then I think one of your employees left during that time frame, but it didn't really mess anything up or hold up the transaction at all. So once they left, somebody else came in and we finished the purchase. And so it was a very simple thing to do in reality. It was, I had the garage code. I could go in there anytime I wanted to. Even after we had it under contract, I was able to go in, take a look at it. So.
No inspection contingencies. That doesn't mean you can't inspect it. You can always inspect it. It just means that once the contract is executed and the earnest money is deposited, there's no further inspection contingencies. But if you want to get a head start, getting your contractors over there to get bids so that when we close, to get a head start on the work, that's fine. People, if you're watching, if you're looking to lend money and earn passive income, Grant's an experienced investor. So, I would recommend doing private money with experienced investors such as Grant. And so go ahead and tell people about your future investment goals, and then share the best way for them to reach out to you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to continue selling some of our California properties. We've got a couple more. Hopefully I'll be done selling them by the end of next year. We have one hitting the market. So right now I'm currently looking for 2 to 3 properties to replace that. Usually I look for rental properties that are newer, between $100,000 and $150,000 ARV, that will rent at about the 1% rate. If you don't know what that is, it's basically you take how much it's worth and you multiply by 1%. That's about how much it should be renting for. So I'll be looking for a couple more properties to do the BRRRR strategy. So we do buy it, rehab it, rent it out. Sometimes we pay cash. Sometimes we utilize a private lender to do that, and then we refinance them out after we've got it rented out. The next, I'm going to be starting to look for some bigger deals, apartment buildings between 50 and 100 units to syndicate out with other
investors. Impressive. That's impressive.
That's the next thing to start on. So
nice. Okay. What's the best way for people if they're wanting to maybe invest in some of those syndication deals with you, or if they want to approach you with potential properties that they have to purchase? What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can contact me at grant@thegoodlifeproperties.com. That's thegoodlifeproperties.com. And my phone number is area code 916-616-1264. And feel free to contact me. I love talking to people about real estate, and I have a couple people who've contacted me and I've helped them buy their first deal or think about other things that they can do. So I'm always willing to help people out.
Awesome. Well, everybody watching, I'll share all of this information about the specific property that we went over on Angel Tier that Grant purchased from us. And then I'll share all of that information on our website. Thank you for your time today, Grant.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.